My name is Sophia Carter. For years, I was treated like I didn't even exist in my own home. But then, right in the middle of a company gala, I stood before hundreds of people, looked my husband in the eye, and said, "Do you want me to tell them about the condo you bought for your mistress on Brazos Street?" The entire room went silent. Before I share my full story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. If you've ever had to fight your way back to yourself, hit like and subscribe. Trust me, you're going to want to hear what happens next. The coffee maker gurgled at 5:47 a.m., same as every morning for the past 12 years. I watched the dark liquid drip into the carafe, counting each drop like marking time in a prison I'd built myself. Our kitchen gleamed with stainless steel appliances and marble countertops, the kind of perfection you see in home magazines, the kind that hides everything broken underneath. "You're up early again," Daniel's voice cut through the morning quiet. He didn't look at me as he grabbed his travel mug, already dressed in his pressed suit. "Try not to look so tired at dinner tonight. The Johnsons are coming." I nodded, swallowing the words I wanted to say. "I'm tired because Lily had nightmares again. I'm tired because you came home at midnight smelling like someone else's perfume." Instead, I poured his coffee exactly how he liked it. 2 sugars, no cream. The mirror in our hallway caught my reflection as I passed. 34 years old, and I barely recognized the woman staring back. Where had Sophia Carter gone? The woman who'd won design awards, who dreamed of opening her own studio. She'd disappeared somewhere between Ethan's first birthday and Lily's kindergarten orientation, replaced by Sophia Miller, Daniel's wife, mother of 2, keeper of a perfect suburban home. At breakfast, Ethan pushed eggs around his plate while Lily hummed softly to herself. Daniel scrolled through his phone, occasionally grunting at emails. I buttered toast in silence, remembering when we used to talk over breakfast, when he'd reach for my hand across the same table. "Mom made the best fort yesterday," Lily announced suddenly. "We used all the couch cushions." Daniel's eyes flicked up from his screen. "Your mother has plenty of time for forts." The words dripped with something that made my chest tight. "Some of us have real work to do." Ethan's fork stopped moving. Even at 10, he understood the weight of his father's words. That evening's dinner party was like all the others. Forced smiles, small talk about property values and school districts. I'd spent hours preparing Daniel's favorite dishes, making sure everything was perfect. But when Jennifer Johnson complimented the meal, Daniel laughed. "Don't give her too much credit. It's not like she has anything else to do all day." He turned to his new assistant, Vanessa, who'd somehow been invited. Now, Vanessa here, she manages million-dollar portfolios and still finds time to run marathons. That's impressive. The room tilted. I gripped my wine glass, watching the burgundy liquid swirl, imagining it was courage I could swallow. Vanessa, 26, blonde, everything I wasn't anymore, smiled at my husband like he'd hung the moon. "Excuse me," I managed, standing on unsteady legs. In the bathroom, I pressed my palms against the cool marble counter and stared at the stranger in the mirror. When had I become invisible in my own home? 3 days after the dinner party, I found myself parked outside a Starbucks in Houston, hands shaking as I gripped my phone. Maya's contact information stared back at me. My best friend from college, now a successful divorce attorney. We'd lost touch after I'd married Daniel. He hadn't liked how aggressive she was. "Sophia? Oh my God, is it really you?" Maya's voice hadn't changed. Still warm, still strong. We met that afternoon. She took one look at me and pulled me into a hug that nearly broke me apart. "What has he done to you?" she whispered. Over coffee that grew cold while I talked, I told her everything. The small cruelties that had become daily occurrences. The way Daniel talked about me like I was furniture, useful, but ultimately replaceable. How I'd given up my career, my friends, myself. "You know what pisses me off most?" Maya leaned forward, her lawyer instincts sharp as ever. "You designed the Henderson building. Your work is an architectural digest, and now you're apologizing for existing in your own home? The kids will learn that it's okay to be treated like nothing? Is that what you want to teach Lily? That she should disappear for someone else's comfort?" That night, I lay next to Daniel, listening to his breathing. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Then again. At 11:47 p.m., curiosity won. The screen lit up with a text from Vanessa. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Dinner at our usual place? Our. That word echoed in my skull. How many usual places did they have? The next morning, after Daniel left for work, I found Ethan sitting at the kitchen table, drawing. He looked up at me with eyes too knowing for his age. Mom, why does Dad make you sad? I froze. Spatula suspended over the pancake griddle. What makes you think that, sweetheart? He shrugged, going back to his drawing. You used to sing when you cooked. Now you're always quiet. A pause. Like you're scared. My 10-year-old son saw what I'd been hiding from myself. I flipped the pancake with shaking hands, Maya's words from yesterday mixing with Ethan's observation. Was this the legacy I wanted to leave my children? Hey, bud. I sat down next to him, abandoning breakfast. What would you think if things changed around here? He looked at me for a long moment. Like if Dad wasn't so mean? The words hit me like cold water. I'd failed to protect not just myself, but them too. They'd been watching, learning that love looked like control, that marriage meant one person disappearing so the other could shine. Yeah, I whispered, like that. Ethan reached over and took my hand. I think that would be good, Mom. You deserve to be happy too. The gym smelled like rubber and determination. I hadn't set foot in one since before Ethan was born, but there I was at 5 a.m., fumbling with the treadmill controls, while women half my age sprinted effortlessly beside me. First day back? The trainer, Marcus, had kind eyes. Take it slow. Rome wasn't built in a day. Slow became my mantra. Slow and steady and silent. Daniel didn't notice when I started leaving the house in workout clothes. He didn't notice the laptop I'd hidden in the garage, where I worked on freelance design projects while the kids were at school. He didn't notice anything about me at all, but I noticed everything about him. Bank statements left carelessly on his desk. Credit card bills with charges at jewelry stores, jewelry I'd never seen. Restaurant receipts for two, always for two, at places he'd told me were client dinners. Document everything, Maya had advised. Date, time, amount, build your case. So I did. Photos of receipts, screenshots of credit card statements, a spreadsheet that grew longer each week. My phone became a weapon I carried in secret, gathering evidence of a life my husband was living without me. The freelance work started small. A friend of Maya's needed help with her home office. Then her neighbor wanted a kitchen redesign. Word spread quietly, the way good secrets do. Within 2 months, I had my own bank account and 3 steady clients. You're glowing, my neighbor Patricia mentioned one afternoon. Have you done something different? I had. I'd remembered who Sophia Carter was before she became Mrs. Miller. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. I'd been organizing Daniel's home office, one of my wifely duties, as he called them, when I found the folder, property documents for a condo in downtown Austin. The buyer's name, Daniel Miller. The co-signer, Vanessa Chen. My hands didn't shake anymore. That surprised me. I took photos of every page, then placed the folder back exactly where I'd found it. The old Sophia would have confronted him, would have cried, would have begged for an explanation. The new Sophia, or maybe the real Sophia, finally waking up, simply added it to her evidence file. That night at dinner, Daniel complained about his steak being overcooked. Honestly, Sophia, you have one job. How hard is it to cook a decent meal? You're right, I said calmly, cutting Lily's meat into small pieces. I should pay more attention. He blinked, surprised by my agreement. I smiled at him, the same smile I'd been practicing in the mirror, the one that showed nothing, revealed nothing, promised nothing. In bed that night, Daniel rolled toward me for the first time in months. I turned away. I'm tired, I said. It wasn't a lie. I was tired of being invisible, tired of being small, tired of being sorry for existing. Fine, he muttered, rolling back. You're always tired lately. Yes, I thought. Tired of you. I'm taking Vanessa to the Dallas gala, Daniel announced over breakfast, as casually as if he were telling me about the weather. You'd be bored anyway. All that business talk. I spread strawberry jam on Lily's toast, keeping my hands steady. Of course, I understand. He looked almost disappointed by my easy acceptance. After he left, I called Maya. Operation Comeback starts now, she said when I told her. I'll meet you at Neiman's in an hour. The black dress cost more than I'd spent on myself in 3 years. It hugged curves I'd forgotten I had, fell just right at the knee. The saleswoman brought shoes that made my legs look longer, suggested a makeup artist who transformed my tired face into something that made me stop and stare. There she is, Maya breathed. There's Sophia Carter. The Dallas Hilton glittered with importance. I'd been to this gala before, years ago, when Daniel still introduced me with pride. Now I walked through those doors alone, chin high, shoulders back. The ballroom hummed with conversation and champagne bubbles. I saw them before they saw me. Daniel in his best tuxedo. Vanessa in red, his hand possessive on her lower back. They looked like what we used to look like, young, successful, in love. My heel caught on nothing, but I didn't stumble. Not anymore. Sophia? The voice belonged to Charlotte Hayes, CEO of Hayes International, one of Daniel's biggest clients. My dear, you look absolutely stunning. I didn't know you were coming tonight. Last-minute decision, I smiled, accepting a champagne flute from a passing waiter. I couldn't miss the chance to catch up with everyone. The whispers started like ripples in a pond. Heads turned, conversations paused. Daniel's assistant, former assistant, I realized, seeing her uncomfortable face, touched his arm and pointed. Our eyes met across the room. I watched the color drain from his face, watched Vanessa's confusion, watched the careful image he'd constructed start to crack. Is that your penthouse design on the presentation board? Charlotte followed my gaze to the architectural displays. I remember now, Daniel mentioned you'd helped with some ideas? Helped. I turned to her fully. I designed every square foot of that penthouse. The floating staircase, the living wall, the seamless indoor-outdoor concept. That's all my work. Charlotte's eyebrows rose. But Daniel said, I'm sure Daniel says a lot of things. I took a sip of champagne, letting the bubbles give me courage. But tonight, I thought I'd speak for myself. More people gathered, drawn by the shift in energy. I talked about design, about my vision for spaces that breathe, about projects I'd completed before becoming Mrs. Miller. With every word, I watched myself materialize in their eyes. I wasn't Daniel's invisible wife anymore. I was Sophia Carter, architect, creator, person. We should discuss my upcoming hotel project, Charlotte said, pressing her business card into my hand. I had no idea I had such talent right under my nose. Daniel appeared at my elbow, his grip too tight. We need to talk. No, I said simply, not bothering to lower my voice. We don't. Daniel dragged me to a corner of the ballroom, his face twisted with rage. What the hell do you think you're doing? Attending a gala. I pulled my arm free. Meeting potential clients, networking. You're embarrassing me. His voice dropped to a hiss. My wife doesn't show up uninvited to my work events dressed like what, Daniel? Like a professional? Like someone who exists? The champagne had become liquid courage in my veins. Or like someone you can't ignore anymore. You're being hysterical. He glanced around, checking who might be watching. Always worried about appearances. We'll discuss this at home. No. The word came out stronger than I felt. I'm done discussing things on your timeline, in your way, by your rules. His hand shot out, grabbing my wrist. Not hard enough to leave marks. Daniel was too smart for visible abuse, but firm enough to remind me who held the power. Or who used to. Daniel? Vanessa appeared, wobbling slightly in heels too high for someone who'd had too much champagne. Baby, where did you... She stopped, seeing me, seeing his hand on my wrist, seeing the tableau we made. I smiled at her. Not cruelly, but with something like pity. Red's a good color on you. He always did like his assistants in red. I'm not just his assistant, she slurred, defensive. No, I agreed. You're also living in the condo he bought on Brazos Street, the one he put your name on. I turned to Daniel, whose face had gone past pale to gray. Did you use the same real estate agent who found our house? Or did you find someone new for your secrets? Vanessa's eyes widened. You said you were divorced. You said she was crazy, that I what? I kept my voice gentle, speaking to her but watching him. That I trapped him? That I let myself go? That I was too boring, too domestic, too used up after having his children? I'd heard him on the phone after all. Thin walls work both ways. This isn't the place, Daniel ground out. Oh, I think it's the perfect place. Charlotte Hayes had drifted closer, along with several other familiar faces. All these people who think you're such a devoted family man, such a successful businessman. Should I tell them about the separate credit cards? The trips to Vegas that were supposedly client meetings? You're making a scene. His CEO voice, the one that made junior associates cower. But I wasn't a junior associate. I was the woman who'd held his head when he'd had food poisoning, who'd designed the office that made his reputation, who'd given him 2 beautiful children and a life that looked perfect from the outside. Good, I said. It's about time. Vanessa backed away, her face crumbling as she processed the truth. Security approached. Daniel must have signaled them, but Charlotte Hayes intercepted with a gesture. I think, Charlotte said coolly, that Mrs. Miller was just leaving. With my business card. We'll be in touch about that project, Sophia. The divorce papers felt heavier than their weight suggested. I signed my name, Sophia Carter Miller, soon to be just Sophia Carter again, with Maya sitting beside me in her Houston office. He's hired Brennan and Associates, she warned. They'll play dirty, threatening custody, hiding assets, the whole playbook. Let them try. I had my own playbook now. Bank records, property documents, text messages I'd photographed when Daniel left his phone unlocked. Evidence of a double life funded by marital assets. Daniel's reaction was swift and vicious. He came to the house when he knew I'd be alone, using his key before I could change the locks. You think you're so clever, he snarled, backing me against the kitchen counter. You have no idea what I'm capable of. I'll take everything. The house, the kids, every penny you think you're entitled to. Mom! Ethan's voice from the doorway made Daniel step back. My son stood there in his school uniform, backpack sliding off one shoulder, eyes moving between us. Hey, sweetheart. I kept my voice steady. Dad was just leaving. No, he wasn't. Ethan stepped into the kitchen, positioning himself between us, 10 years old and already protective. Dad, you need to go. Daniel laughed, ugly and sharp. Listen to you, taking her side. She's poisoning you against me. No one's poisoning me. Ethan's voice cracked but held firm. I have eyes. I have ears. I know what you say to Mom, how you treat her. The silence stretched until Daniel finally stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I sank to the floor, Ethan wrapping his thin arms around me. I'll testify, he whispered. If the judge needs to know, I'll tell them. You don't have to. Yes, I do. He pulled back, meeting my eyes. You're protecting us. Someone needs to protect you. That weekend, while Daniel took the kids to his mother's, I packed with systematic precision. Family photos where he'd crop me out, the china his mother had given us, insisting it stay in the family. The watch I'd given him for our 10th anniversary. Let him explain their absence. Maya called with updates. His lawyer's trying to claim abandonment, says you've been absent from the marriage. I laughed, surprising myself. Absent? I've been invisible. There's a difference. The judge will see that, especially with what Vanessa's willing to share. That was the surprise witness, Daniel's mistress, discarded when she became inconvenient, angry enough to tell the truth. She'd kept receipts too. Screenshots of promises he'd made, contracts she'd signed, thinking she was building a future. He told me you were abusive, she'd said in her deposition, that he was protecting the children from you. But then I saw how he talked to you at that gala. The Ethan's letter to the court was simple, written in his careful 5th-grade handwriting. My mom makes our house feel safe. My dad makes it feel like a test we're always failing. The courtroom smelled like old wood, and justice deferred. I sat beside Maya, wearing the navy suit she'd helped me choose. Professional, serious, nothing like the fading housewife Daniel had described in his filings. He entered with his team of lawyers, still wearing confidence like expensive cologne. His eyes skimmed over me, dismissive even now. That would be his mistake. Your Honor, Daniel's lawyer began, my client has been the primary provider for this family. Mrs. Miller abandoned her career by choice and now seeks to punish him for her own decisions. Maya stood slowly, like a cat stretching before the hunt. Your Honor, we'll demonstrate that Mr. Miller systematically isolated my client, denigrated her contributions, and used marital assets to fund an extramarital relationship. The evidence unfolded piece by piece. Bank statements showing the condo purchase, credit card bills for jewelry I'd never seen. Business trips that align suspiciously with Vanessa's social media posts from Vegas, Miami, Cabo. These are legitimate business expenses, Daniel insisted from the witness stand, including the lease for Miss Chen's BMW? Maya's voice was silk over steel. The lease you signed as co-applicant? Daniel's jaw tightened. She needed reliable transportation for work. For work. At your company, where she was your assistant. Maya paused. Until you fired her 3 weeks ago. Would you like to explain why? The color drained from his face. Vanessa hadn't been bluffing about testifying. She took the stand that afternoon, wearing conservative gray, looking nothing like the party girl from the gala. Her testimony was devastating in its simplicity. He said his marriage was over, that his wife was unstable, that he stayed for the children. She met my eyes across the courtroom. I'm sorry. I believed him because I wanted to. But that night at the gala, seeing how he grabbed you, how he tried to control you even then, I knew I'd been lied to. Objection, Daniel's lawyer called. Hearsay. Overruled. The witness is testifying to her direct observations. The final blow came from Charlotte Hayes, appearing via video link from Tokyo. I've worked with Mr. Miller for 5 years. The penthouse design that secured our contract, I've learned it was entirely his wife's work. He presented it as his own. Daniel's carefully constructed image crumbled in real time. The successful businessman became a man who stole his wife's work. The devoted father became someone his own son feared. The wronged husband became a liar caught in his own web. Custody will be awarded to Mrs. Miller, the judge announced after deliberation, with supervised visitation for Mr. Miller pending completion of anger management counseling. The marital assets will be divided equitably, with consideration for Mr. Miller's fiduciary breaches. I didn't cry until we reached the parking garage. Then I sobbed. Not from sadness, but from relief so profound it felt like drowning in reverse, like finally breaking the surface after years underwater. You did it, Maya whispered, holding me as I shook. Sophia, you did it. The apartment smelled like fresh paint and possibility. Smaller than our suburban house, but flooded with light, windows facing downtown Austin's skyline. Lily raced through the empty rooms, her laughter echoing off hardwood floors. Can my room be purple? She called. The sparkly kind? Any color you want, baby. Ethan stood beside me, studying the space with an architect's sun's eye. You could put your drafting table by that window. The light's perfect. My throat tightened. Even through everything, he'd been watching, remembering who I used to be. The sign went up on Tuesday. Carter Design Studio. Simple brass letters on weathered wood hung beside the door of the small office space I'd leased downtown. Ethan and Lily helped, Lily insisting on adding a small heart sticker in the corner. For love, she explained seriously, because you love making things beautiful. My first week, 3 clients called. Former neighbors who'd heard about the divorce, who'd always admired our home's interior, who hadn't known I was the designer behind it. By the second week, Charlotte Hayes' assistant scheduled a meeting. The hotel project in San Antonio, Charlotte said, sliding blueprints across my desk. Boutique luxury, environmentally conscious. I want someone who understands that spaces should breathe. My hands trembled as I reviewed the scope. This is significant. So was standing up in that ballroom. She smiled. I invest in courage, Sophia. Talent's easier to find than backbone. Daniel's visits with the children were awkward productions of fatherhood. He'd take them to expensive restaurants where Lily couldn't pronounce the menu items, buy them things they didn't need. Ethan came home from one visit quiet and thoughtful. He asked if I wanted to live with him. Ethan told me that night. Said he could get me into a better school. My heart hammered. What did you say? I said I already go to a good school, and I live with my family. He paused. Both parts of it, but this part feels more like home. 6 months later, I stood in the completed San Antonio hotel lobby, watching Charlotte's team photograph the space. Curved walls that guided movement like water. Locally sourced materials that told Texas stories. Windows positioned to chase light throughout the day. It was mine, fully mine, with my name attached. Miss Carter? A young woman approached, nervous and hopeful. I'm Sarah, from UT's architecture program. I was wondering, Are you taking interns? I thought of all the years I'd made myself small, all the talent I'd buried to keep peace in a house that was never peaceful. Yes, I said. I am. The photo Ethan took that day sits on my desk now. Me in the hotel lobby I designed, surrounded by my work, my name visible on the plans spread across the table. But what you notice first is my smile. Not the careful one I'd worn for years, but something real and unguarded and mine. My name is Sophia Carter. I took it back. I took it all back. And I'm just getting started.